The cargo bay of the Meridian outpost hummed with the familiar rhythm of artificial gravity generators, a sound Leo had grown accustomed to during his 3 years stationed at humanity's farthest colonial outpost. He moved between the storage crates with practiced efficiency, cataloging supplies from the latest shipment from Earth. The work was mundane, mechanical, exactly what he needed after the chaos of the previous week's solar flare incident. "Hey Leo, got a visitor for Inspection Bay 3, crackled Martinez's voice through his comm implant. "Some Zarathi diplomat. Protocol says you need to be present for the cargo verification." Leo suppressed a sigh. The Zarathi were one of the galaxy's oldest spacefaring species, their empire spanning dozens of star systems long before humanity had even discovered fire. Interactions with them were always formal, stiff affairs governed by centuries of diplomatic tradition. "On my way," he replied, sealing the current crate and making his way through the station's curved corridors. The inspection bay was a sterile white chamber designed for first contact protocols and diplomatic exchanges. When the airlock hissed open, Leo stepped inside and froze. The Zarathi woman stood near the scanning platform, her tall, lithe form wrapped in the traditional ceremonial robes of her people, deep purple fabric that seemed to shift color in the station's artificial light. Her skin was a pale lavender, marked with the bioluminescent patterns that indicated high caste status. Large, dark eyes dominated a face that was humanoid enough to read expressions, alien enough to remind Leo he was looking at a being whose ancestors had crossed the stars millennia ago. But it wasn't her appearance that stopped him. It was the way those eyes locked onto him with an intensity that felt like a physical force. The Zarathi woman went completely still, her breathing apparatus, delicate gill-like structures along her neck, fluttering rapidly. Her 3-fingered hand reached out, trembling before she pulled it back as if she'd touched something burning. "This can't be." Her voice came out as barely a whisper, the translation software in Leo's implant rendering her melodic language into stunned English. "You're alive." Leo blinked, confusion washing over him. "I'm sorry, have we met?" She didn't respond. Her dark eyes were scanning him with an almost desperate intensity, taking in every detail of his face, his posture, the way he stood. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin began to pulse erratically, something Leo had learned indicated extreme emotional distress in the Zarathi. "I don't understand," Leo said carefully, his hand instinctively moving toward the emergency comm on his belt. "Do you need medical assistance?" "Your name," she said urgently, stepping closer. "Tell me your name." Leo Chen. "I'm the cargo specialist assigned to." "Chen," she repeated the word like a prayer, like a curse. "And your family, your lineage." This was getting stranger by the second. "My parents were James and Susan Chen. They were part of the original colony ship that settled New Vancouver. Look, I think there's been some kind of mistake." "No mistake." The Zarathi woman, he still didn't know her name, pulled a small device from her robes. With shaking hands, she activated it, projecting a holographic image into the space between them. Leo's breath caught in his throat. The hologram showed a human man, perhaps in his 30s, wearing what looked like an old-style exploration suit from decades ago. But it was the face that made Leo's world tilt sideways. It was his face. Not similar, not reminiscent. Identical down to the small scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident. "Who is that?" Leo demanded. "His name was Marcus Chen," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion the translator couldn't quite capture. He was the first human I ever met, 43 years ago." The timeline didn't make sense. Leo was only 28. "That's impossible. I wasn't even born 43 years ago." "I know." She deactivated the hologram and Leo could see tears, or something like tears, forming in those large dark eyes. Marcus was part of the first human deep space exploration team, before official first contact, before the treaties. His ship suffered a catastrophic failure in the Andromeda Drift. We found him, My science vessel found his escape pod barely functional. Leo's mind raced. He'd heard stories about the early exploration missions, the ones before humanity had established reliable, faster-than-light travel. Ships that had disappeared into the black, crews never heard from again. But those were just stories, legends told in academy classrooms. We brought him aboard, she continued, her words tumbling out now as if a dam had broken. It was forbidden. Contact with pre-protocol species was against Galactic Council law, but he was dying. I was the medical officer. I saved his life. She moved to the window overlooking the docking bay, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. We spent 6 months together while we debated what to do with him. 6 months where I taught him our language, our customs, where he taught me about Earth, about humanity's dreams of reaching the stars, where She trailed off, but Leo understood. He'd read enough xenobiological studies to know that while rare, emotional connections between species weren't impossible. What happened to him? Leo asked quietly. The council found out. They ordered him returned to human space, all memory of the encounter wiped from both our records, but Marcus, he refused the memory wipe. He said some things were worth remembering, even if it meant living with impossible loss. Her bioluminescent patterns had settled into a deep, sad blue. They sent him back in a new ship with enough supplies to reach the nearest human colony. I never saw him again. But I received one transmission years later, routed through so many relays it was almost untraceable. Just a few words. Named him Leo. He has your eyes. And then nothing, I thought. I thought it was metaphorical. I didn't realize. Leo felt his legs weaken, and he sat down heavily on a nearby crate. He was my father, my biological father. According to our genetics database, you share 99.8% of his DNA pattern, she confirmed. You're not just his son. You're nearly his clone. The similarity is extraordinary. Pieces clicked into place in Leo's mind. His father James had always been private about his past before settling on New Vancouver. The way he would sometimes stare at the stars with an expression Leo could never quite read. The insistence that Leo learn everything about space, about other species, about the vast galaxy beyond human borders. Did he ever mention, Leo started, then stopped. Did Marcus ever mention someone named James? The Zarathi woman's eyes widened slightly. His younger brother, he spoke of him often, said James would be the one to carry on the family name if anything happened to him. So many secrets, so many carefully constructed lies to protect a truth too complicated to explain. Marcus Chen hadn't died in some exploration accident. He'd been returned to human space, carrying memories of an impossible love and a future he could never share. And James, Uncle James, who became Dad James, had raised Marcus's son as his own. "What's your name?" Leo asked. "Bella Sarath King Sareth, but Marcus called me Bella." Of course he did. Leo remembered his mother, the woman he'd thought was his mother, telling him she'd chosen his middle name, Leo Marcus Chen, a tribute, she'd said, to a friend lost to the stars. "Why are you here?" Leo asked. "After all these years?" Bella turned from the window, and for the first time he saw something like hope in her expression. "The council has changed. New leadership, new policies. They've opened diplomatic channels with humanity, official ones. I volunteered for this assignment, I thought. I might find some trace of him, some record. I never imagined." She looked at him, really looked at him, and Leo saw the weight of 4 decades of grief and longing. You have his smile, the way you tilt your head when you're confused, even the way you stand. Leo stood, crossing the distance between them. This close, he could see the subtle differences in her alien features, the way her skin seemed to shimmer with suppressed light. "He named me for you, or part of me anyway. That has to mean something." "It means," Bella said softly, "that even when the galaxy tried to erase what we had, he found a way to make sure it mattered, that it lasted." She paused, and her hand rose again, hovering near his face but not quite touching. "I'm sorry," This must be overwhelming. I have about 1,000 questions, Leo admitted, starting with whether James knows I'm finding this out. I suspect he knew this day might come, Bella said. The galaxy is smaller than it used to be. Secrets don't keep as well as they once did. Leo's comm implant chirped. Martinez, wondering why the diplomatic inspection was taking so long. He ignored it. What happens now? He asked. Bella's bioluminescent pattern shifted to a warm amber, curiosity, hope. That depends. I'm assigned to this sector for the next standard year. Cultural exchange, they call it. Learning about human customs, teaching ours. Building bridges between our peoples. Finishing what Marcus and you started, Leo said. Perhaps. She finally lowered her hand. And perhaps getting to know the son of the man who showed me that connection transcends species, that some bonds are strong enough to echo across decades and light years. Leo smiled Marcus's smile according to Bella and made a decision that felt inevitable, like following a path laid out long before he was born. I have a break coming up. There's a place in the station where they serve something almost like Earth coffee. Terrible stuff, but it's all we have out here. Would you like to talk? Really talk? Bella's patterns flared bright gold, pure joy in Zarathi emotional language. I would like that very much, Leo Marcus Chen. As they walked together out of the inspection bay, Leo couldn't help but think about the strange threads of fate that connected lives across the cosmos. His father, Marcus, had crossed impossible distances and broken galactic law for a chance at connection, had left behind everything familiar for love, then returned to raise a son who would one day stand where he had stood, looking into the same dark eyes. The universe, Leo decided, had a strange sense of symmetry. And maybe, just maybe, some stories didn't end. They just waited for the next generation to continue writing them among the stars.